Well, you can already tell by the thumbnail in the picture, today is going to be a great day. We get to test ride the hottest bike out right now.
Yeah.
Because if I was going to just like park in the garage, yes. Either way, it's fine, right? They don't use that just for maintenance. No. That's what I was thinking. Oh, I'm fine. They have it. They don't want to get ahead of it.
Sheesh. This is the best bike I've ridden in.
Dude, this is...
Yeah, I got it, and the key's in yours. You just gotta get the tag.
This is our hot date for the day.
Oh yeah.
2025 Panigale V4S with the full Acra.
There's one.
That's with baffles.
Actually flip through the mode, right? And not have to go to a settings menu, which is separate.
Or have to stop ride, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So you click on that, and then you're ready to go, right? Now watch this. So you can change the dash too. So right now I have it on. Watch. Keep it there. Ready? Look at the brake. Press the gas.
It's got the sensors and everything now.
And then you can do power and torque and your G-forces.
That's sick, dude.
It's ridiculous.
This thing is incredible, bro. This is our date for the day. Look at this. This is the all-new 2025 Panigale V4S with the $7,000 Acra full system on it, and we get to go do a review on it. Check this thing out. Got my buddy Oscar, he's on the V2 today, and we're gonna... Already, this thing sits so nice. Oh, I love how it feels suspension-wise already. That normal Ducati chug-a-lug clug. Literally leaving the dealership as we speak. It's kind of cold out, so we'll get some heat in the tires. Really see how this thing does. Just pulling out of the parking lot, I can tell you guys that this thing is night and day over the last bike. Comfort-wise, that's such a weird thing to say about a Panigale, but the bars are more straight. And it just handles so good. I love the stiffness. The old Panigale, it kind of suffered with being too soft. And this thing, I don't know. I like a stiff bike.
What did he say?
It really feels like it's ready to corner. Power-wise, yes, it is practically the same engine as the last generation Panigale V4, but I have to say, it does feel refined. It's got all the balls you could want. Sheesh, this thing is just amazing. Like, I don't know how to really describe it as far as refined. This bike is just way refined. Definitely an evolution, you know? The Panigale's come so far. You know, I had the original one when it came out. I waited a year, so I bought a 2014 Panigale 1199S, and it was hot, it was stiff. Anything over 20 minutes, your wrists were completely cramped. But this thing, wow. It almost feels like too refined for a Ducati, if such a thing. But I think what's awesome about this bike is you're literally going to be able to like jump from, say, a Japanese bike or a bike with less power and feel pretty comfortable on it. With the exception of the high seat height, which you kind of get on all Superbikes now, it's just a really comfortable bike. I love this seating position. I love where I'm at in relation to the handlebars. I'm only 5'11", but the pegs and rear sets don't feel as cramped as they have for the longest time. And I'll tell you right now, 43 miles an hour, fourth gear, barely holding the throttle. It is just super smooth. The old Panigales, they like to clug a little bit, and just, of course, these bikes always feel like they want to go faster, but I think this it's pretty good at around town, if you would. Now I'm riding in Sport Evo mode, which is pretty much like the balls out mode on this bike, and yes, there's that little bit of jerkiness in the throttle. I like that only because you can use a higher gear and it's like having a quick turn throttle. And instantly, if you know anything about the Panigales, they get hot as hell. And I gotta say that this thing is just amazing. Like, it's not as hot. I mean, I'll tell you straight up, I think my Super Duke gets hotter than this. You know the saying where it says, don't meet your heroes? And that's kind of how the previous generation Panigale was for me. It was like, of course they look sexy and they're sick as can be, but they are a handful to ride. This, I don't know, it's almost playing with your mind to where, you know, it's a $40,000 bike with the exhaust on it and you're like kind of intimidated by the price and the looks of it and Ducati. But this thing, I can't say it enough. Pull out the refine counter, because we're probably going to say that 100 times in this video. This thing is just absolutely easy to ride, feels super good. You know, you don't have to worry about like hard clutch pull or this thing's going to wheelie out of first. Like, it is just, it's a really great machine. Now let's talk about the controversial part of this bike, and that is the double-sided swing arm. Everybody and their brother, especially the Ducati purists, are eating this thing up online because of the double-sided swing arm. Not just a double-sided swing arm, but a controversial design as well. It's not your conventional double-sided swing arm that you see on like your Jap bikes or other bikes of that nature. But I'll tell you right now, as far as riding it compared to the single-sided swing arm Panigale, I don't think you would notice any difference. I mean, mere mortals wouldn't even notice the difference. So it's probably a preference of looks. But I can already tell, just going side to side, it has like, how do I explain it? The flexibility that you want, where the single-sided swing arm was so rigid, it made the front end feel super soft. Even with springs, even when you did suspension for it, it was like very, very soft in the front and super stiff in the rear. And every time you'd get on it, the bike would just head shake like a bat out of hell. And it was like, it was a great bike, but it all comes down to that refinement. There's a reason that Ducati's MotoGP teams use a double-sided swing arm. Now, is there a performance benefit as far as faster lap times? Yes and no. You don't get a faster lap time just by having a double-sided swing arm, but it's about confidence inspiring, and as the rider, it's a lot more consistent when you have a double-sided swing arm. Yes, tire changes are a bit of a pain in the ass compared to the single-sided, but as far as feel, it's, man, I'm going to go ahead and say it now. This is probably one of the best bikes out of the box. Like, I'm still shook on the fact that this is stock suspension. Now, this is a non-S model. I know I said S in the beginning, but this is the demo bike over at Ducati Sanford. So if you're watching this video, hit up Oscar, hit up Dave, hit up Cody, and say, hey, I seen Jay's video, and I'm just really curious about how good the Panigale is. And if you get the opportunity, please go ride this bike. It doesn't matter if it's an S or a non-S. I will say, this being the non-S, I think it's more fitting for what I like, because the non-S has always been like a stiffer suspension compared to the Öhlins, and I like the fact that it's not spongy. I'm not saying the S is spongy, but you can feel that softness because it's meant for the comfort of the roads. And every Panigale that I've rode always needed springs. It always needed suspension. You know, you don't have to change the whole thing, but it definitely needed little tweaks and adjustments. And that was like for any weight, not just, you know, fat people, not just us biggins, but anybody. You know, anybody that rides these bikes hard, I think the non-S is the way to go. Man, it just, that never gets old. Like, if you've ever ridden a Panigale V4 2018 and up, the power that the 1103 V4 has is just incredible. Like, I rode a V4R, and yes, it is a sick bike, and it's definitely the one I would go for track and for racing, but it's almost like dead and non-existent below, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, pretty much any Japanese inline 4-cylinder or the S1000, that's all how they make their power. Is the power band comes on strong around 8,000 RPM, and it just carries you all the way to the moon. The Panigales, or V4s in general, have a great mid-range, and that 1103 V4, I swear, if you rode it back to back with a V4R, it feels like the same bike handling wise, but it doesn't have that mid-range grunt that you would expect from a V4. Now, of course, the R, you can rev out to 16.5 and, you know, really stay up in the RPMs to make all that 234 or 240 horsepower. But if you're a mere mortal and you're buying this bike for the street and doing occasional track days, like, go for the S or the non-S model. There's no reason that you need the 1000cc homologated race version when, dare I say it, the 1100 is the better bike. I mean, I even know racers that they race the 1100, you know, in series that you can use it. One sec. Oh my gosh. Now, it's a colder day, so they've got the settings on like 5 on traction control, and, you know, ABS is on high and wheelie control's on high, but like, there's no masking just how powerful this bike is. And I want you guys to know that this is not like a review, you know, from other YouTubers of like, oh man, you know, buy this bike, blah, blah, blah. It's really, this is coming from somebody that races, rides fast, really beats the shit out of their motorcycles. And I'll tell you straight up, today, of course, I love my job, but I didn't have high expectations. The Panigale has always been kind of the same recipe, and that's, it's super fast, super light, sexy as hell, but it's too much for the street, right? This is probably the first Panigale I've ever rode that is just the right amount. Like, it is not too stiff. I love the seating position. It's a rider's bike. Like, this is the type of bike that you can buy just this one and not have like a need or a want for a second bike. Now, okay, maybe you're a little older and you want, like, say, a hyper naked or a naked bike, but look at this. I don't know if you guys can see this, but my Super Duke handlebars are probably 2 or 3 degrees less than this. The old Panigales used to sit where your wrists were kind of turned, and then when you're on the throttle side, you'd have to like have this kinked weird shape on your wrists that after 35-40 minutes, your wrists were going numb, You're sweating from the heat. Like, it was a lot. It was pretty much the sacrifice that you were making for having the sexiest bike on the road. This is compromise. That's what I would call this. Ducati listened to people, not just the Ducati purists of what they like, but they listened to competition. They wanted to be ahead of the game, and that's why we have this bike today. That's why the 2025 Panigale V4 is here with its weird styling, controversial swing arm, all these things that people are talking about on the internet. But I'll tell you right now, if you ride one, it all makes sense. Absolutely incredible, man. Incredible. The new widescreen dash is just insane. Like Dave was showing you guys, like now you have all the potentiometers where you have the brake. When you hit brake, you see it red. When you hit throttle, you see it green. Man, this thing is so sick. Now I guess the only question that's left is, should we buy one? I did sell the RRR Honda. I did sell my Super Duke. So right now, I only have the Super Duke swapped RC8. So we are in the market. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Yeah, this thing is just amazing, man. I'm going to say it now. This is the bike to beat. Ducati set the benchmark in 2018 when it came out with the Panigale V4, and this just raised the bar all over again. Ducati has shown its hand. Every other sport bike, superbike manufacturer, the ball's in your court.
I can't say thank you enough for my boy Ducati Dave here at Ducati Sanford. If you guys are in the market for a brand new Ducati, or if you want to test ride one of these, they have demos all the time. Definitely come and see these guys. They are the best in the business. Not just bleeding red, but just awesome people to come shake hands, chop it up with. But thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to do a lot more of these reviews and test rides. If you guys like them and want to see any kind of bikes down below, especially Ducatis, please leave a comment and we'll see you on the next one.
Good.
Hey. I know that guy.
He's still here, bro.
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girando, delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto Adolgino d'amor. Delle belle turbando al riposo, Narcisetto Adolgino d'amor. Non più avrai questi bei panacchini, quel cappello leggero galante, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante, quel vermiglio d'onesco colore.